Alright pilots, hello and welcome back. Now I have been working on this Cynabal for a couple days now. I changed a lot of rigs, now this ship is a lot more lethal, and I am working on several other fits. Well, I'll show you the current fit that I have. Now this ship is my highest DPS ship that I own at the moment, sitting at 895.06 DPS cold, which is not a bad number. It will be a lot higher, by the way. Main weapons are still the C-type medium autocannons. They have been working quite well, very good DPS, very good range, and overall very good damage. And so far these weapons might be my second favorite in the game. In the medium slot you will find the same good old dual webs and the target painter. Now for the drones, I might switch them for Valkyries or for Vespas, I'm not quite sure at the moment, but you can use any drone that you want. It depends from, of course, situation to situation. In the low slot I use the medium afterburner, the dual gyro stabilizers, a invulnerability field and a shield booster. Now this fit is more of a PvP fit, but it works quite well for PvE as well. Now in the rigs I have a dual cannon collision accelerator to increase the damage, one cannon burst aerator to increase the rate of fire, capacitor control circuit in the engineering slot, semiconductor memory cell and a auxiliary thruster. Now one rig that I have to replace is this tier 2 capacitor control circuit. I didn't use the level 3 rig because I think it was too expensive. I think it was around 780 million, I'm not quite sure, so I'll definitely have to change that rig when the time comes. As for the resistances on the ship, well, I'll actually explain why I use the current fit that I use. So, let me quickly demonstrate the DPS. When I activate the gyros, it's 1,300 DPS. Now that is good DPS, that's a number that I actually like. And that number will be increased once I finish up with other skills and once the tier 4 rigs come out. As for the resistance, well, they are not that good. And again, this is more of a PvP ship that I use for PvE because it ended up working pretty well for storyline missions. Of course, you have to be careful because if the NPCs managed to web and scramble the ship, it's dead, but so far that did not happen to me with the Cynabal, and I have been using this build especially for the tier 8 storylines. I cleared them quite fast and so far no issues. The shield booster and invulnerability field are doing a good job at keeping me alive. Now because of that, I rely on speed tanking a lot. That means I have my afterburner on at all times, orbiting at close range at maybe from 5 to 15 kilometers. You can orbit at 25 if you want. The ship will still hit the target with autocannons, but I prefer to orbit around 7 kilometers mostly because that's, I think, the sweet spot with the current speed and with the current range. So far, again, it has been working quite well. For tier 10 storylines, you should not use this fit because it is too fragile, and in the end, for tier 10 storylines, you should use a battleship or one of the assault battlecruisers because they are just more suitable for that type of situation. As for this ship, I do recommend to spam the tier 8 storylines. You can clear them very quickly and you can do a lot of them per day, and I think it's actually faster to do tier 8s instead of tier 10s because we can do multiple tier 8s instead of just one tier 10. But again, that's from my personal experience. If you like to do tier 10s, then go ahead. They are very hard and they also pay very good, so again, it depends from situation to situation, from ship to ship, and of course from fit to fit. Now, also one of the reasons why I have a PvP fit at all times on me is because I like to sometimes help my corp, my alliance, and it is a lot faster for me to just jump into our home system with the ship that I'm currently flying than to change ships at my home station. So it is saving a lot of time, and it's actually saving, if I count around, maybe it's saving me maybe 40 jumps. So that's one of the reasons why I also run this fit. And one of the reasons why the speed tanking is working so well are definitely my Afterburner skills. They are quite high. I think I don't have them maxed out yet because I used to focus on MVDs a lot, but I think I have level 4 expert skills on the Afterburners. That means I can increase the speed and overall performance of Afterburners by a little bit, and I'll definitely focus on that once I finish up with the current skills that I have in plan. But as you can see, so far I don't have any promise with these ships. Now, one problem that you might encounter are definitely the elite ships when they spawn in. So I recommend that before you kill the last enemy ship at the third wave for all scenarios, that you align, and once you destroy that last ship, you immediately warp out. That way you are never going to be caught by the elite ships' webs and scramblers. The webs from the normal ships is not that strong. I think it will reduce your speed by maybe 25% or less, maybe even 15%, not 25. But the webs from the elite ships will slow down your ship by 50%, or if I were to be more accurate, I think it is 46%. So definitely you don't want to have a elite ship spawned close to you with this fit, because if they catch this ship, it can be destroyed because it doesn't have a good tank. You can theoretically shoot them down before they shoot down your shield or armor or hull. So you have to be still careful around those ships. So at the moment, this is the tier 8 Violenta storyline. Both tier 8 Violenta storylines should be very easy to clear, and I actually can do maybe 5-6 per day very quickly. Sometimes if I really try hard, I can clear 10 in a day minimum. So I do clear these missions very fast, and you can get very nice easy rewards from the reward alone, and of course from the loot. The loot is actually very valuable. You can get some very good materials from the racks, you can get good modules from the racks, and of course with the box that you get once you clear the mission, sometimes you can get very expensive modules that of course you can use or you can sell. In my case, I like to sell them because at the moment I have all the modules that I need. The only thing that I am missing right now is a Stratius and a Astra. Now, I know those ships are not released yet, but once they get released, oh man, am I going to have fun with those ships. I have some very interesting fits in mind for them, and I have some very interesting purpose for these ships, especially for the Stratius. And the Astra might be one of my personal favorite frigates, and I'll make those ships very deadly and very lethal. But more on that once the ships get released. As for the storyline missions, I target mostly the frigates destroyers first, as usual. Those that are approaching very quickly are usually those that are the most dangerous ones, because they carry webs, disruptors, scramblers, and they need to be eliminated as quickly as possible. Dual webs, in my case, are good to stop these ships in their tracks, and of course to make them a lot easier to hit with these turrets. I mean, these turrets already have good tracking, and they don't have a problem to track these ships orbit you very quickly. But if you use the artillery cannons, then that might be a problem, because artillery doesn't have good tracking at close range. and if they manage to get too close to you, then they might be a very serious threat. And that's where the webs come into play, because you can web them, slow them down, and make them easier for the turrets to track and hit and destroy. But of course, this also works quite well for PvP. If you have a, let's say, Dramiel get too close to you within the web range, you can web it. And well, for example, in the Dramiel's example and in the example of all frigates, if the frigate gets slowed down and if the frigate is slow, then the frigate will be destroyed. And good defensive and of course good offensive modules, because they can serve both purposes. The target painter, now I'm not quite sure if I should keep the target painter, because the turrets are already hitting quite well, but you never know. And the target painter increases the signature radius of the ships, making it easier to lock on and easier to hit. That's again very effective against smaller targets like the destroyers and frigates, so I like to keep that module with me. Again, it works both ways in PvP and PvE. In PvE, it can help you to hit the fast moving interceptors if they get close to you, and of course they can help the artillery cannons to hit the target easier. So they are a good module for both scenarios and good modules for that kind of combat. As for the invulnerability field, well, I'm actually thinking if I even need that module, because speed tanking with or without it is mostly the same, and I did test it out actually, and it actually worked quite well. I was able to do starlines without the invulnerability field. That was kinda very odd to me, because I did not expect it to work. I only had one shield booster. I actually did try the fit out with the 3 gyros. It was quite good actually, very good DPS. But it was kind of risky, because at the time I didn't know how the ship would perform without some form of defense. But now I actually am considering to pull out that invulnerability field and to place either a tracking computer or to place another of these gyro stabilizers, and that would be a total glass cannon. I know, no tank whatsoever, but in the end it works, and the DPS is also quite good actually, so I might actually switch to that. But first I'll have definitely to test it out more to see if there are any circumstances that I did not realize at the time. So that's one of the future upcoming fits that I would like to test out. Might be fun. Definitely a fit that is going to be very good at shooting down other players. And for PvP, the Cynabal might be one of the best cruisers. Its DPS is scary. The DPS will be, of course, a lot higher, because they also plan to change the rigs further on once the tier 4 rigs get released. And I expect maybe, I'll be very optimistic here, I expect maybe 1.7 to 1.8 thousand DPS on this ship. Now that is a scary number, and it is coming close to the base DPS, to the cold DPS of battleships, so it will be interesting to see how that will work. Definitely, I would not like to get shot by a ship that has 1.8k DPS, especially not a cruiser that can melt frigates within seconds, and cruisers alike. Okay, let's focus on that last. I think this might be the last wave. I'm not quite sure. I kind of lost track of the waves here at the moment. Now, one fit that I would like to try out is the fit with the dual invulnerability fields and one reactive. That might be working. That's that might be actually a more balanced version of the current fit that I have. And well, the mission was completed. Well, that was nice. For the 50 million is right in my pocket. Now, the thing about the balanced fit is that you will have decent DPS and you will have decent resistances. And that fit would be more suitable for storyline missions. You could use it for PvP, but you would not have enough DPS for some ships. Of course, the base DPS in that case would be around 800, maybe 790. That's still a good number. Don't get me wrong. That's a very good number. But the boost that you get with the dual drivers is just amazing, and it can make short work of most ships that you can come across. Those couple overclocked seconds, those couple seconds while the gyros are activated, they can be quite significant between a loss or a win. Especially if you are fighting a ship that's built in a similar way. Now if you have a tank, your incoming damage, the damage that your ship will take is going to be lower, but your damage is also going to be lower. And in some cases, a good tank can win against a ship that, for example, is built for only DPS. In some cases, and well, actually in vast majority of cases, having a balanced fit is actually a lot more efficient than having a ship that's solely built for DPS, because those balanced ships, those balanced fits can be multi-purposed in a lot of situations. And in my case, I am kind of more leaning to the DPS than to the tank, but I also have a very good velocity, and that speed tank is what's keeping me alive in most cases. So that we definitely have a lot of choices to make, a lot of fitting choices, and I'll definitely try most of them out, because I think it will be interesting to find out what's actually the best. Now in the case for the Cynabal, you can go for the shield tank or for the armor tank. The ship can do both of these. I'm not quite sure, but you can actually do a hull tank, but I wouldn't be hull tanking on a faction cruiser that's going for 2 billion ISK at the moment, so hull tanking, no, but shield and armor tanking is a good and a valid choice for this ship. I did see a lot of very good armor fits for this ship, and of course shield fits. In my case, I am more leaning to the shield fittings, shield tanks, mostly because of the skills that I have for the shield hardeners and shield boosters. But the armor tanks have couple advantages, and in some cases they're actually better, but of course in some cases the shield tank might be better. That mostly depends on the incoming damage type of the ships that you're fighting. Now this is a Caldera mission, a very easy mission. I think it is a tier 8. The tier 8 missions are actually very nice to do. They can be challenging, but they are fun to complete, and you can actually get to fight some battleships. In my case, I think I did not accept that mission, but I will do them definitely very soon when I test out the artillery on the ship with this similar fit. But at the moment I have absolutely no problems to clear any storyline mission up to tier 8. For the tier 10 storylines, I would definitely have to change my fit, and I already have a idea what to do. But again, the best time effective thing to do with these ships are definitely tier 8 storylines, because, well, I can just do a lot of these missions per day, and I actually can make up to 1 billion ISK in one day if I really try hard. But I am averaging from 100 to 500 million per day, and that is still a good number. Of course, you can achieve similar similar numbers with one of the battlecruisers or with the assault battlecruisers. It all depends from your skills, and it all depends from how you play the ship and how you fit the ship. At least that's from my personal experience. Now for the battleships, well, getting to tier 9, not soon, but I'm getting there. And once I hit tier 9, well, it will be fun. There are a couple of ships that I am definitely going to get, and by the time, hopefully, we will get faction drones. I really need faction drones at the moment to increase my DPS, and of course I will need those drones for my Sister of Eve ships, and of course for my lovely Covertops Arbitrator and Arbitrator 2. Those ships are definitely ships that are getting famous in a way, and of course that will further improve my PvP performance with these ships. As for the Cynabal, well, I'll definitely convert this ship to be PvP only once I get the Stratios, because I'll use the Stratios for both PvP and PvE. That's what I do. I like to have multi-purpose ships, and of course exploration, because those are actually exploration ships, which I'll use for combat, but I guess that's how I roll. Kinda funny, but it is truth. 6 more ships are left, and after I eliminate all these ships, this should be the last wave. Cynabal is definitely one of the most fun to fly ships that I have at the moment. As you know, I absolutely love ships with high DPS. I love fast firing ships, and this ship actually does both very well. Now, it's not tanky, that's true. You can make it tanky if you want, but it definitely compensates for that by its gun performance. So definitely a very scary ship to fight, and a ship that a lot of players will be careful around, because the Cynabal can be a very big problem, and overall, in the right hands, these ships can do a lot of damage. Now, what does that mean? Well, you will find out that very soon, once I start to fly this ship into PvP and into fleets. That will be fun, and the mission came to an end. Alright, well, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed, and well, I hope that these fits are going to be helpful. And with that being said, stay safe, fly safe, and I'll see you next time.